Welcome for this time to our class of Chemistry Practical. We continue with volumetric analysis, that is our topic for Chemistry Practical, and understand that we look on experiments with their solutions. For these solutions, make sure you know the systematic way of solving this question in order to have a good and systematic knowledge of solving those experimental questions like this one. Either you can meet another question which have the same this question format, then you can answer a systematic way of the solutions. I think we are together. Okay, let's proceed with our lesson. Today's lesson we start experiment number 3. Remember that we still on determination of atomic mass and the identification of unknown element for the compound. Experiment number 3, you are provided with the following solution. Solution R1 and solution R2. Solution R1 contain 5.6 gram of T hydroxide in 1 decimeter cube of the solution. R2 solution containing 4.9 gram of sulfuric acid dissolved in 1 liter of the solution. And the indicator used is methyl orange indicator. Procedure: titrate the acid against the base using 2 drops of indicator and obtain 3 theta values. After checking the data and the procedure or performing the procedure for this experiment, let's look at the questions. Question number 1. What is the amount of R2 or the volume of the acid required to neutralize the volume of base for reaction to be complete? That is the question number 1. Write the balanced chemical equation for the reaction in this experiment. And the last question, which is very important to you to know the procedure of solving this question. The question is, showing the procedure clearly, identify element T in T hydroxide as a compound. After checking those questions, now let's proceed with the answers and the solutions step by step in solving those questions. Remember that the data previous is very important to you in order to solve those questions in systematic way. Before a table results, you are supposed to show the pipette used, which is 25 according to our pipette we have used to solve this question, and the burette used is 50 centimeter cube or mils. That is before table results. Then on your table results, after performing titration procedure, you are needed to show the table results even if you are not asked in procedure. And you are supposed to fill a table by remembering that you are supposed to include the SI unit and write the values in 2 decimal places. Then, after completion of the table of the results, you students, you are needed to calculate the average volume used of the acid or burette readings in order to get one value you are going to use to solve these questions. The average volume used is calculated by that formula: volume 1 plus volume 2 plus volume 3 divided by 3. 25, that is volume 1 plus 25 plus 25 divided by 3. It means 75 divided by 3. The volume of R2, which is acid, is 25. Then after that, after calculating the volume used of acid, let's proceed with the answering another questions. So the volume of R2 required to neutralize 25 of R1 for completion reaction. Balanced chemical equation: T hydroxide reacts with the sulfuric acid to produce T sulfate plus water. It means the molar ratio is the number of mole of base is 2 and the number of mole of acid is 1. So another question, showing the procedure clearly, identify element T in T hydroxide as a compound. You students, this question is somehow complex, so you are supposed to think more where you are going to start procedure and then where you are going to be the end of your procedure in order you to get the value of T as element. remember that in order to get the value of T in T hydroxide, we are supposed to have molar mass. That's you are supposed to think. And to get the molar mass of that compound, we are supposed to have molarity of T hydroxide. That is the molarity of base. You are supposed to think on that one. Also, you are supposed to think in order to have molarity of base, you are supposed to have molarity of acid, and you are supposed to have a concentration. So let's proceed. The first procedure is to determine the molarity of acid solutions, and the molarity of acid is equal to concentration over molar mass, and the concentration is mass over volume, and the mass we have provided within the data, 4.9 dissolved in 1 liter of the solution, and the concentration is 4.9 gram per decimeter cube. Molar mass of sulfuric acid is 2 plus 32 plus 64. The molar mass is 98 gram per mole. So molarity of sulfuric acid is concentration over molar mass, means that 4.9 divided by 98, the value is 0.05 mole per decimeter cube. So molarity of acid solution is 0.05 mole per decimeter cube. Procedure number 2 is to determine the molarity of base solution. Remember that the solution of base is unknown, is T hydroxide. So because it is unknown, we are supposed to use indirect formula to identify molarity of base, and we are supposed to use molarity of acid times volume of acid times number of base is equal to molarity of base times volume of base times number of acid. And the molarity of acid is 0.05, volume of acid is 25, molarity of base is required, volume of base is 25, and the number of mole of acid is 1 mole, and the number of mole of base is 2 mole. When you substitute in the formula, molarity of base is equal to molarity of acid times the volume of acid times the number of mole of base divided by volume of base times the number of mole of acid. And our calculation is that one, 0.05 molarity of acid times 25 volume of acid times 2 mole of number of mole of base divided by 25 times 1 mole of acid, and the molarity of base is equal to 0.1 mole per decimeter cube. That is procedure number 2. Procedure number 3 is to determine the molar mass of T hydroxide. The molar mass is equal to concentration over molarity. Concentration is not yet calculated, so we are supposed to use mass over volume obtained from the data of making their solutions of R1. So the mass is 5.6 and the volume is 1 decimeter cube. So the concentration of base, or which is T hydroxide, is 5.6 gram per decimeter cube. Then molar mass is concentration over molarity. Concentration is 5.6 divided by molarity of 0.1 mole per decimeter cube. The molar mass is 56 gram per mole. That is the molar mass, and the number and the procedure number 3. Procedure number 4, to determine the atomic mass of T in T hydroxide. So we are going to determine the atomic mass of T in T hydroxide. After getting the molar mass 556, we are supposed to minus the atomic mass of oxygen plus atomic mass of hydrogen, then that is 17. We subtract from 56, and the rest of the value is 39. 39 represents the atomic mass of T, that is potassium. So element T is potassium. You students, I'm sure you have understand how these questions have been solved. Still learning with me for the coming lesson. For any question, any comment, advice, that's my number, 074 513 5181 or 06 20 22 6109. Thank you for listening.